Hey guys, welcome to the fifth discussion in Philosophy as a Conversation. This week's prompt we're supposed to discuss with two hypothetical friends that have opposing views on ethics. And we're supposed to answer accordingly to our chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 in Ethics in a Nutshell. So, the first friend, they say studying philosophical ethics is unnecessary because their religion provides clear and definitive answers to all moral questions, and that drawing on non-religious sources also is disrespectful to their belief and their faith. And here's what they would say directly: God wouldn't want me to read that book or take that class. His views on all ethical issues are clearly stated in my holy book. Additionally, study is neither necessary nor appropriate. So here's how I would answer to that. My professor explains philosophers use reason and logic to determine their ethics. So it's very likely that if God created the human brain and gave mankind the ability to use reason and logic, it would be expected of us to guide our actions accordingly. This is in order to better not only ourselves, but our society as a whole. So logic and reason in this sense would be compatible with religion. I believe one could even argue that it's kind of a distinct attribute of humanity to use reason and logic. I also think, on another note, that it's necessary to use logic and reasoning whenever you're trying to understand theology in general, because it can be very complex ideas. So the second friend butts in with a very different challenge. They say, actually, ethics is just a matter of personal opinion. No moral views are any better or worse than others. So you can't learn anything useful in an ethics class. It's all just made up personal taste. And here would be my rebuttal to that. So in our assigned reading, Ethics in a Nutshell, Chapter 3, the professor explains that just because one sincerely believes a practice or institution is ethically just, unjust, permissible, impermissible, forbidden, or unforbidden, doesn't necessarily make it so. Now that's a direct quote from the book. An example of that would be, you might have a favorite ice cream flavor. You can have your own favorite flavor, and another friend can have the favorite flavor. But whenever it comes to things like, is the earth flat? Just because you believe the earth is flat does not make the earth flat. Rather, it takes some objective evidence, it seems. So, yeah, objective evidence, kind of helps support the truth there. Our third and final prompt of this assignment is to discuss our feelings on both of the previous statements. So one of the first thing that really confused me with this assignment, or morals in general, is the many different definitions of morals. So here's the general definition I found on Google. It was the first definition I found whenever I typed in morals on Google. And I feel like this is kind of the definition, the impression I was under whenever I did the last video. So a person's standards of behavior or beliefs concerning what is and is not acceptable for them to do. I feel like in today's society, because we are in like a secular society, I feel like that is one of the most predominant views of the word moral. But then also I Googled the Cambridge Dictionary's definition. It says relating to standards of good behavior, honesty, and fair dealing, or showing high standards of this type. So only questions I have there is who determines what is good behavior, who determines what is fair, or even who determines what is honesty. But that definition right there clears a lot of things up for me though, and I personally kind of like that definition for morals better. So I still believe one's personal moral views, so views is the major word there, personal moral views are a matter of opinion. So their views, they might believe that it's moral to do certain things, and I believe it's moral to do other things. So they might have their own personal moral views, but that being said, I may not endorse those views and may even find one's moral views immoral. I would even try to use logic and reason to persuade someone to change their morals if I sincerely objected. Using logic and reason, I may even change one's morals because individuals are entitled to that change. I'm not necessarily saying there aren't moral truths, but I believe it's unlikely that a moral truth can be indefinitely determined by a finite being. Similarly, in psychology, no hypothesis can be proven. However, we can support that hypothesis. So I hope you guys liked the video. See you next week.